Welcome to this month's Fireside Chat session. With the pandemic now decelerating and travel picking pace, we at M2P decided to decode the evolving business travel industry in this edition. I would like to welcome Mr. Anuj Razdan, Vice President and Head, Products and Industry Relations at FCM. Mr. Anuj is associated with travel business since 2003 and understands about the nature and scope of the minute changes and major shifts that takes place in the industry. About FCM, it is one of Asia's leading TMC, continuously innovating new products and platforms to make travel for its customers more agile, efficient, and safe. Welcome to the session, Anuj.
Thank you, Gauri. Thanks for having me here.
You're welcome. Mr. Rohan Parab, Assistant Vice President M2P, will take the session ahead with Mr. Anuj. Before M2P, Mr. Rohan worked with Thomas Cook India for almost a decade. So, without taking much time, I would welcome you two industry veterans to take up the stage and guide us all about the latest happenings and trends in business travel. Over to you, Rohan.
Thank you so much, Gauri, for this nice introduction. Hi, Anuj. Been a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you, Rohan. Always
Anuj,
good to connect with you.
same here, likewise, sir. So, before we actually start our conversation, can you help us understand what is FCM about?
So, FCM, Rohan, like just a little while back, Gauri said we are a leading travel company. So, in India, we operate by the name of FCM Travel Solutions India Private Limited. It's a 100% owned business for Flight Centre Travel Group, which is an Australian stock exchange listed company. And we have presence across the globe. We operate multiple brands, FCM being one of the brands, and then there are multiple brands that we operate across the globe. In India, we primarily operate three major brands. One being FCM, which is on the corporate side, wherein we handle and we manage large and ultra large and global customers for all their travel needs, be it as simple as issuing tickets to more complex managing their hotel programs, their car programs, to even managing their small and large meetings, conferences, events, and also their forex requirements. So it is a complete end-to-end travel related thing that we take care of. So anything that is travel related is something that we would like to take care of for our customers. And on the customer side, like I said, we operate primarily in the three segments, one being FCM, which is ultra large to global customers. The second corporate brand that we operate in India is by the name of Corporate Traveler. This brand was launched in India in 2016 to cater or focusing on the emerging businesses from mid to large category of corporates. So, Corporate Traveler is another brand, again, taking care of end to end travel requirements for the corporates who are in the bracket of, say, emerging businesses, mid to large category businesses who have grown pretty rapidly over the years and have more potential to grow in the coming years. And the third and the final segment or the brand that we operate in India is by the name of Travel Tours. It is primarily focusing on the leisure side of the business. So anything to do with holidays, anything to do with customized travel, anything which is B2C is primarily what we take care from our Travel Tours brand. For Travel Tours, we have retail stores and our corporate offices spread across India. And that's what Travel Tours primarily does, helping customers customizing their holidays as per their needs, offering luxury experiential packages to our customers, to group travels, which is known as GIT. And then within that segment, we also have something wherein we further resell our products to sub-agents, to B2B businesses. But those are primarily leisure products, is what we do through the Travel Tours brand. So these are the primarily three main brands that we operate, catering to these three segments. But it is purely travel. It's only travel that we do. That's where we operate.
True. So, it's like a one-stop shop for all the travelers.
Absolutely. Anything to do with travel is something that we would
Super.
be keen to get involved with. Anything which is non-travel, we'll probably uh, might not put our hand or foot in there.
So to begin our conversation, Anuj, travel in India has been a season-based requirement kind of a thing, with leisure and students, being the active segments. Corporate is one which has been the ongoing one for the entire year. So how did the pandemic affect you? And, what roles and responsibilities changed for the travel management companies?
Pandemic made a very big impact on the travel industry, not only us, I think across the industry, everybody got impacted, be it hoteliers, be it travel companies like us, be it the principal, somebody like airlines. So everybody got affected by pandemic. Travel was probably the first segment to get impacted, and probably would be the last one to come out from the impact of the pandemic.
Yeah.
Completely come out of the pandemic. I think travel would be one of the last segments to be. I've gone through those phases from a full-fledged running business, multiple transactions, thousands and thousands and millions of transactions happening every week, every month, to near zero transactions, was also a period that we have seen. Thankfully, the things are improving now and things are coming back. So it's getting better day by day. But in terms of changes that the companies like how us have gone through, obviously with the pandemic, there are a lot of new things that have come in play. There are a lot of new travel restrictions, travel requirements that have come in play. So now our customers don't only look at us as somebody who can help them in issuing uh, tickets or hotel vouchers or just getting confirmation for the products or things that they want. There are additional layer of things that have come in play. Something like pre-travel requirements. You need to have a COVID test. You need to download certain apps to travel to a certain city. The visa requirements are kind of changing. So there is a lot of things that have got involved in the travel, which were not there in the pre-pandemic era. So in pre-pandemic, it was just like getting your tickets done, getting your visa thing sorted, and you're good to travel. But now uh, there are multiple layers of things that you need to check before anybody can travel. And the biggest challenge that we face is those regulations or those rules have been changing very frequently. So
Right.
there is something which is applicable today. Probably next week, the things might change completely. So there are changes which are happening very, very rapidly. More and more countries are opening up. Their standard operating procedures for traveling to those countries are not very clear. So all of that thing is something which is kind of something where we are trying to help our customers, gathering all that information and making sure that our customers' travel is seamless through and through from start to end.
Get it. So, technology wise, what are the few changes travel management companies plan to bring? And how do you see this entire travel tech developing across the globe?
So I think in pandemic, while travel was impacted pretty badly, technology companies were growing equally faster.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
uh, everybody kind of started looking at technology, what more can be done on the technology side, and
correct,
everybody embarked on kind of a digital transformation activities and looking at what more that can be done on technology, which can help them in the coming years or a period. Because we realized, I mean, being in the lockdown, we realized how important the technology is. The platform that we are using currently, probably though it was available in the pre-pandemic era as well, but I don't think we were using platform like these so rapidly or so frequently what we are doing currently.
correct.
So technology has uh, probably grown much more faster in the last year and a half. And the same will happen in the travel space also. If you look at FCM, we embarked on a digital transformation journey ourselves, and there are significant investments and significant work that we are trying to do on the technology side. We recently launched our B2C and B2B. It's not completely live, but it's in the
Yeah,
process of going live very soon. So we made some investments on our B2C and B2B portals and the websites, which will be live soon. On the corporate technology side, also there is a significant investment and time and effort which is being put to make sure that we get better cost efficiencies. Yeah.
Correct.
With technology, you tend to be less people dependent and more system driven activities. So that's what we have been doing on the technology front, and I guess it's not only limited to us. That's the trend that, or that's what everybody has started to realize,
True.
that technology is the way forward, and it's quite similar for us as well.
Just another question to what I previously asked. What will be the role of fintechs in this entire development that is happening in terms of technology?
So fintech again, I mean, fintech is not only going to contribute in the travel domain. I think fintech has already started contributing in every other area also. Look at the new fintech companies that are coming every day. There are new names that you come across. I guess fintech is the space where the majority of VC investments are coming in. They are the
True.
companies who have been raising some really good amount of money despite all that pandemic and all the stuff that has happened over the last year and a half. It has certainly made things easier, be it buying goods and services, to even buying stocks and mutual funds, to up to cryptos and all of that stuff. So, fintech companies are definitely going to contribute on the travel side also. There are two, three new trends that we have been observing, something like BNPL, buy now, pay later stuff, which is seeing some traction, eKYC, getting virtual cards sitting at your home. You could apply for a prepaid or a credit card, and then there is a virtual card within a couple of minutes that you are able to get or generate for your transaction. So, uh, fintech is certainly contributing in bringing that ease of transacting to the
Sure.
customer's end, which will eventually help every business, be it travel, be it non-travel. I guess fintech would definitely contribute quite significantly on that front.
Yeah, that's brilliant. That's good to hear also, actually. So, just moving from the technology aspect, all of us have been home for quite a long time now, and everybody was kind of craving to get out of their houses, probably go out for a vacation or something. Now, this urge has kind of given a birth to the new age vacation rentals where people are combining work and vacation. What are your views on these vacation rentals, and is this a trend which is here to stay for a long time?
So, Rohan, when the first lockdown got eased out, right,
Yeah,
somewhere around mid of last year, that is when we started seeing a real surge in the demand for those kind of vacation rentals, because people, I mean, it was probably the first time in our entire lifetime that we would have been stuck in our homes for probably 2 months. I think the first lockdown, the entire complete lockdown, was for about 6 to 7 weeks, and then the thing started to ease out, but people were still very hesitant in exploring and venturing out and doing all those activities. But slowly, gradually, when the people started to get some confidence that yes, we have to come back to normalcy, and we have to uh, uh, start our lives once again. And we as human beings, we always have that desire to travel.
sure.
We can't be locked in one area for, or in one place for a very long time. You,
True.
me, everybody, I guess, has that desire or
Yeah,
has that passion for travel. So when the first lockdown kind of eased out, there was definitely a very significant surge. People were looking at vacation rentals, and those were like long bookings. Those were not 1 night, 2 night kind of bookings that we were seeing. Those were like probably week, 10 days, or even month also,
sure.
that people were trying to move out because they were working from home. They thought, how would it make a difference whether I work from my home or from a hotel or from a homestay? And then people started exploring out. So there was definitely a significant surge during that time. But with more and more destinations opening up domestically as well as internationally, we are seeing that people are now kind of going for other holidays also, other than just being vacation rentals. We are seeing trends wherein people are going out for like over a weekend for 2 days, either domestic or international, 3 days, 4 nights, 5 days. All those kind of holidays have started to come in. But I guess this vacation rental will still continue to be there for a very long time, because I don't think companies would have everybody coming back to offices very soon. This hybrid and work from home culture is going to uh, be a part of our lifestyle for a very long time. And with hybrid culture, wherein you work out of office few days in a month and you work out of home or from wherever you want to for a few days in a month, would be quite normal. And I think people will prefer to do those kind of things. So vacation rentals, yes, the kind of surge that we saw during the very initial phases of the
Yeah,
first lockdown getting over to where it is now, there is definitely a dip, but
great.
this is going to stay, I feel.
Yeah,
I mean,
thanks. Some good insights on that, actually. The next one, we've been in this travel ban for a long time. I mean, all the countries are equally affected. Have you seen any new travel markets emerging in this pandemic?
new travel markets, there are definitely new destinations that have emerged where people were not very keen to travel or were not there on their holiday plans or holiday bucket list otherwise. But with the pandemic, people wanted to travel to a different city, slightly not so commercial places. So some offbeat destinations domestically have definitely seen some better acceptance and better business moving to those places. Luxury properties have done well. So people who were initially thinking or used to travel for 3 stars probably have upgraded themselves from 3 star to 4 star or 5 stars. People who are staying in 5 stars are looking for more luxury and experiential activities because of primarily because of safety. Everybody Safety is the biggest concern in everybody's mind. And I mean, what we have seen is luxury properties have seen much more acceptance and much more business
Sure.
uh, from the travelers. In terms of new destinations, one destination that definitely comes to my mind is Maldives, Rohan.
Yeah.
Uh, the kind of business that has moved to Maldives was significant, even to Dubai for that matter. Yeah. So, I mean, there are multiple flights that are operating to Maldives.
Earlier, I guess Maldives was more of, a particular segment that used to travel. I guess now everybody's kind of going there. True.
It's about having choices, right? What
Yeah,
choices do you have? Uh,
absolutely.
I want to travel, but what are the choices I have? I have probably these five choices, so I'll probably pick one of those which is the best fit, and that's where
Correct.
Maldives has got a huge surge in Indian tourists going into Maldives. Dubai
Sure.
has been always one of the highest. Uh, um, I mean, Indian tourists traveling to Dubai
Yeah,
has been very, very significant for years now. But
correct. Correct.
Maldives is definitely one of those destinations which kind of boomed during this period.
Super, super. So finally, to conclude, Anuj, we saw difficult times for travel during this entire pandemic. How will travel in India shape up in the coming months?
So look, Rohan, the travel has started to come back pretty nicely. Domestically, I think we would be close to around 65-70% of what the pre-pandemic levels were. Indian government has relaxed 100% of capacity to be brought back on the domestic air side. Uh, on the international front, we are still seeing some constraints, and that's primarily because of the capacity constraints that we have. Not all the destinations have opened up, and not the airlines haven't brought back 100% of their capacity because of various restrictions, either imposed by Indian government or by other countries. So there is definitely uh, a, a supply challenge currently on
Yeah,
the international front. And if we look at the airfares on the international segments, on the international flights, they are exorbitantly high. All of us would have read during August, September, or September, October, when there were students who were supposed to travel to different countries for their
True.
sessions starting in September. The kind of fares that they paid was significantly high, and there is still a challenge on the supply side. There is definitely that constraint on the supply side, but demand has started to come back. More and more countries are opening, and whenever there are countries opening, we are seeing that demand is coming for those countries. People are uh, obviously they are evaluating, they are assessing their risk and other stuff before they finalize and eventually travel to those destinations. But uh, on the international front, I think currently airfares is something that is playing a spoil sport for us.
Sure.
It is at least 2x of what it used to be pre-pandemic, anywhere between 1.5 to 2 to probably 2.5x of what it used to be pre-pandemic,
No.
easily. So that's definitely pushing things slightly slower, but
Yeah.
otherwise the demand is coming back pretty nicely.
Super.
Overall, if I look at it, domestic is something that is booming currently, and it will continue to grow. India is a very large domestic market. I mean, you have almost everything to see in India, up from north to south. I mean, there are places that, and domestic is definitely booming, and it will continue to grow. Visa appointments, processings, uh, uh, is something that is going to be a bit of a challenge, because what we are observing is there is a lot of backlogs that most of these embassies and high commissions have,
True.
and not the entire staff or the entire workforce is back in the embassies and the high commissions, which is kind of delaying the visa processes. Airfares, like I mentioned, are extremely expensive currently, but with more and more frequency, more and more relaxations coming on, I think that things should get sorted out. And the health testing requirements, I think, are here to stay for a
Yeah.
while now. I mean, we don't know for how long, but
True.
these are going to stay for a while.
But I see there are good times ahead for the entire industry.
Yes, certainly. I mean, the recovery that we saw after the first lockdown was relaxed, and the recovery that we saw after the second lockdown was relaxed, there is a significant difference.
Sure.
Uh, I mean, after the first lockdown, what took us 6 months probably took us only 2 months
Correct.
to recover post the second lockdown.
True.
So there is definitely pent-up demand. There is definitely challenges on the supply side that we are going to observe, and I'm sure travel is going to come back. Yeah, it is
Super.
coming back. It is coming back nicely.
That's great
It's
to
just
hear.
that let's hope that this third wave and the cases now again increasing in Europe, and
Yeah.
all those WHO news that is coming across, that Europe is going to be the epicenter
Yeah.
for the
Correct.
next wave. Let's just hope and pray that
True. True.
it doesn't really affect
True.
travel once again. Yeah.
Super. Thank you so much, Anuj, for your time. It's been a pleasure talking to you and getting some great insights from your side. We look forward for more interactions like these with you. I hope you have enjoyed this.
Certainly, Ron. Certainly. Thank you for having me. It was a great conversation.
Thank you. You have a nice day, Anuj. Thank you.
Thank you, Rohan. You too. Thanks.